Hey guys, Wrestling Rambles 89 back again with another reaction video. This time I'll be reacting to Stone Cold talking about if his WrestleMania 17 sit-down interview with JR and The Rock was scripted or not. Now, of course, it's one of the most legendary sit-down interviews of all time. It's often been attempted to replicate it, both in WWE and other companies, but they could never quite capture the same magic, so I'm curious to hear about what went behind this one. So without wasting any more time, let's get started.
That being said, let's move back into a wrestling-related question, and one that was a heavy-duty thing, talking about WrestleMania 17, coming from James in Raleigh, North Carolina, a good neck of the woods. I always liked wrestling over in Raleigh, some good wrestling country down there. And he said, hey, Steve, I was wondering if you could talk a little about the sit-down interview that aired on SmackDown before WrestleMania 17. We're coming up on the 14th anniversary of that show, and I consider the promo you guys did before that match to be one of the best sellings of a single match in WWE history. How much was scripted and how much was ad-libbed? The seriousness and intensity in that room is what lacks in the product today.
Yep.
Okay, James, let me tell you something. That was an awesome piece of business, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was my idea. And I'm not taking credit for the whole damn thing, but I think it was my idea. And there was nothing scripted about it. Now, Jim Ross probably had a couple of questions written down, but, man, as a moderator, no one can ask questions as good as Jim Ross can.
Hell yeah.
And, of course, he was right there really, in his prime in the WWE and totally in in my opinion, he's the greatest announcer and wrestling announcer in the history of the business. And, as great as Gordon Solie was, he just took it, to the next level. He had that extra gear.
Absolutely.
And this is with all due respect to Lance Russell and Bob Caudle and so many other great ones, but Jim Ross is the best. And, man, you could cut the tension in that room with a knife, and it was real. And there was nothing scripted about it. I didn't know what The Rock was going to say. He didn't know what I was going to say. And we just responded off each other accordingly and answered Jim's questions. Awesome. And it was a shoot. And then the thing about it is with The Rock, for whatever reason it was, he had great chemistry with a lot of other people.
Yep.
And so did I. But
Definitely.
the two of us together were just very dynamic, very competitive. He was trying to be number one. I was number one.
Always
and
magic.
He came close to overtaking me. In my opinion, never did. But he was white hot. He had a monster career. He's the biggest movie star in Hollywood right now. But if you go back to 17 and you go to that promo, that was real deal Holyfield, competitive aspect of professional wrestling, the way it could and should and still be doing today, done. And that's all I can say about that. It was real all the way. And if you go back to the interview that I did with CM Punk on the 2K14 video game release, and that was moderated once again by my old buddy, Jumpin' Jim Ross. And you could cut the tension in that room with the knife because, me and Punk were taking care of each other, but that was a real deal, man. We're trying to sell video games for 2K14,
yep.
But also that fantasy matchup between Stone Cold and CM Punk. And,
great.
CM Punk's got a hell of a presence, and he's got a hell of a damn promo. And same thing with me, sitting there in my leg brace, just had an ACL and a PCL put in my left knee. Man, those pieces of business are fun. And that's the way I want to see pro wrestling presented.
Hell
because
yeah.
people always want to believe. And I want to believe. And when I'm doing it, I'm living it, and I'm believing it. So to answer your question, man, wasn't no script. It was two cats in there who were in their prime, knew their place, knew what they were there to do, and that was sell tickets. Same thing with me and Punk on the 2K14 thing.
Yep.
We were all there to do business, and so was Jim Ross, the way he presented the questions and went accordingly back and forth to each guy in the serious tone in which he asked the questions, man. So real deal Holyfield, that's how you sell tickets. That's how you get people to believe in you and your brand and your product.
Yep, Austin's spot on there. The believability was a huge thing in that interview. You really believe they wanted to kick each other's ass. It's an all-timer interview, as I said and Austin acknowledged. Austin and Rock at the top of their games, Jim Ross at the top of his game. It was just a recipe for success. Jim Ross, even to this day, I think his best thing these days is still doing those kind of interviews. And back then, with those two legends with him, it was just, as I said, guaranteed successful. If you haven't seen it, definitely go ahead and watch it. If you have seen it, then you already know just how tremendous it is. You don't need me telling you again. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. No script. That's the way Austin seems to like to work, and it certainly paid off there, so I can't blame him. Unscripted, real, believable. Like Austin said, that's the best wrestling. I couldn't agree more. I pretty much just agree with everything Austin said, so I won't belabor the point. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. As I said, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an upload. I upload new videos every single day. This is Wrestling Rambles 89, signing off.